Cheers, everybody.
Hello. Cheers.
Thanks for making it over. We're sorry about that.
Yeah, that slight little hiccup in the road, isn't it? But you made it. Thanks for negotiating that particular...
These things are sent to test us, aren't they? The funny thing is, actually, the new broadband provider actually installed the line yesterday afternoon.
But we can't access it because we've not got a router.
They failed to deliver the router.
We turned our phones off on silent. We set alarms. I don't know what the alarm is set for, John. What is that telling you to do? To turn your phone off, probably.
It was so slick up until there. The phone had a countdown telling me when I would need to make this go live. I probably should have turned that off.
I think literally we've not been able to start a single live broadcast without something happening.
Some kind of hiccup. But hey, at least the show went off without a hiccup, though.
That was the thing. We had our hearts in our mouths for the entirety of that show, just hoping that the whole YouTube premiere thing was actually going to work.
We've never used it before. But look, we promised you birthdays.
Yes.
And we're sorry we couldn't do that as part of the main broadcast. But with that being pre-recorded slightly in advance, we wanted to make sure we got everybody who'd submitted birthday requests. We'll start at the top of the list.
Mm-hmm.
And we've got a few people at the top who missed out last gig because they didn't quite get their submission in time. So first up, we got Mike Crowson, who was celebrating his 80th during our last concert at the church. And he and his wife Vera were watching for the first time during that concert and have come back for more. So thank you very much. And belated happy returns for last... October.
Yeah. And similarly belated congratulations to Elaine and David, who celebrated their silver wedding anniversary in October at the time of our church show. So congratulations, guys.
So next up, we got Chris Thorpe. Now, this is quite a special one because Chris Thorpe is 60 today and had booked Ninebarrow for today, for his 60th birthday, and we were going to put this on in a church near where him and his wife Sarah live, and alas, it was not to be. So many happy returns to Chris, who has changed his plans for his birthday and has instead spent this weekend 2 days walking the Thames from Hampton Court Palace to Buckingham Palace. I mean, how amazing is that?
Guys.
They started on Friday, they stayed overnight in Kew yesterday, and they finished in time today to get home to watch the show. So good planning and some serious stomping going on there as well.
Well done. So I think, is that it for the catch-up birthdays? I think we're going on to current birthdays now. Yes. So we've got Sue and Roger Starbuck, who are winning at surnames, frankly. That's an excellent surname. 39th wedding anniversary today. Congratulations. Oh, yesterday, sorry. Yesterday. 39th wedding anniversary yesterday. Many congratulations.
Dawn and Mark would like us to wish Mum and David. I haven't got a name for Mum. I'm really sorry about that. But Mum and David are celebrating a 25th wedding anniversary. I'm sure they'll know who they are. So many congratulations to you guys.
And similarly, Joan and Phil. I'm sure you'll know who you are, but Joan and Phil are watching us coming from sunny Portugal.
Well, I doubt there's another Joan and Phil watching from sunny Portugal.
Probably not. No, bit of a combo. So yeah.
I hope it's warmer than it is here because it's decidedly chilly here in the UK at the moment. So next up, Michael Stoker. Very happy birthday for the 8th of December from your wife Belinda. She's abroad at the moment, so she can't be celebrating with you. And you're watching this separately, I gather, and she wanted you to know that she was thinking about you.
Yes. And Mike and Wendy Kelly. So Mike's asked us to give you a shout out, Wendy, because we know it's been a tough time with Mike having lost his guide dog Danny, which is a very sad time. But Mike wanted to thank you for all that you do. So lots of love from Mike and from us as well. It's
a fascinating story, this, because they didn't lose their dog because they were careless. I mean, the guide dog has become so spooked by the pandemic, by the lockdown, the fact that people are behaving in an entirely different way to the way that they would normally behave to a guide dog, i.e. they're crossing the road to go away from it. Danny was left really spooked and had to be retired early, which is so sad.
So sad.
Anne Hill is celebrating her birthday on the 10th. And now, Anne was meant to be celebrating with friends, watching this concert together. Now, sadly, that's not to be. But they are watching separately. So massive happy birthday to Anne. But also a big hello to her husband Rick and the friends, Anne, Andrew, Tuppy and Ian. Big hello to you guys.
Hello. And Tim and Nikki Orman are celebrating the 8th anniversary of their first date, which was on the 7th of December, which I'm assuming 7th of December 2012, which probably wasn't long.
Good maths, Jay.
Yeah,
good
maths.
Carol Cullen-Smith is lovely. Carol is celebrating her birthday, was celebrating her birthday on the 10th. So many happy returns and lots of love to you, Carol, and hopefully we'll see you at a live concert sometime soon.
Yeah, see you soon. But shout out to Frances Florence from her husband Julian, and they've been together for 30 years. So I'm not sure if that was at 30 years in December or 30 years at some point during 2020.
Recently, I think.
30 years is good going. So
Brian O'Donnell is he's watching on his own tonight because partner Gary is having to work all weekend. Now, I know Gary has occasionally managed to switch his shifts in order to accommodate a Ninebarrow gig, but I guess there's only so many favours you can call in, Gary, I would imagine. But Brian's got his birthday coming up on Christmas Day.
Lucky boy.
I hope you don't get anybody trying to do the whole kind of joint present thing, Brian. I hope you escape that this year.
Tim Crowstaff, a happy 52nd birthday today from Fran and Steph. And it's his first Ninebarrow concert and it feels like we're all together. Yay! That's what they said. But yeah, thank you. We hope you enjoyed your first Ninebarrow concert. It was a bit of a special one from our point of view, so we hope you loved it.
Yeah.
And, happy birthday.
And a last minute one I managed to pick up on our Twitter feed just before we came on. Hilary Boyce is celebrating a birthday on the 15th of December. So many happy returns to you, Hilary. And last, but most definitely not least, I've been reminded by my dad that my granddad would have been 101 today. So we thought it only reasonable to give my granddad a shout out as well. That seems
fair. Yeah,
a ripe old age.
It's really funny, actually. I saw a photo of John's granddad for the first time, like put up in his little cabinet at home, and they look very similar. We'll have to try and dig that out at some point.
Yes, I do see the family resemblance, actually. So that's it for the birthdays, everybody. So we promised you a trailer for our next gig, which has become a wee bit of a tradition,
isn't it?
At the end of these online concerts. We like to give you something to look forward to over the coming weeks and months, particularly as these days are very short at the moment, and we all need something to look forward to. So
yes, we do.
Without further ado, we'll switch over. If I can get my mouse to wake up. This is the benefit of being on the table, guys. You can't see what my hands are doing, and I can basically deal with all of the issues that are happening over here on the screen without anybody noticing. So here's what we've got coming up next month. It's certainly been quite the year, hasn't it?
Yeah, tough for everyone in so many ways.
It seems like we've spent a lot of time talking to you about serious things from our serious sofa.
Well, to be fair, it hasn't always been that serious on the serious sofa.
And actually, we brought you our news from, well, a variety of different locations.
Remember those hot, sunny days back in May?
After the first lockdown, I am not sure spring days have ever looked so beautiful.
And to be fair, well, this year has been so tough in so many ways. In lots of others, it's been pretty amazing.
To see everyone come together digitally over the last 9 months for our online concerts has frankly just blown us away. And I don't think we will ever be able to articulate just how grateful we are for your support.
And it all started back in April in our dining room. Remember these guys with sheer unbridled terror in their eyes and barely recognisable with their short hair?
Then May.
Then June.
July saw us expand into the lounge and Jay showed off his stripy socks.
August we got soggy in a field.
Hello! In October we lit 1 billion candles in a church.
And in December we started pretty much the most complicated project we've ever undertaken with the show that you've just watched.
And what an amazing journey it's been. And the journey is not over yet, folks. Despite the improving picture with the pandemic, the arts world is not going to be going back to normal anytime soon.
And to think that we'll be touring the country again in anything like a normal capacity before the summer, it doesn't seem really likely to us.
So, what next?
Well, we've spoken to you a few times about our struggles with seasonal affective disorder.
The days are short, the weather is miserable, we're all cooped up inside because of this blasted virus, and it's just, well, miserable.
Yes, so we have picked the weekend which studies show is the most depressing weekend of the year, the weekend before Blue Monday, the third Monday in January.
And we're going to put on a free-to-air show to cheer everyone up. No band this time, no billions of candles, no chance of getting electrocuted in a wet barn, and no pre-records.
That's right, we're going to bring things full circle this time round, and we're going to bring you a show directly from Ninebarrow HQ, absolutely live.
So, the date for your diary, Saturday, the 16th of January at 7 p.m.
And with it being a free-to-air show, we are cordially inviting you to digitally bring your friends and family along.
We'd love to continue growing this amazing online community, and together we think we can blast away the January blues and start 2021 in style.
So we hope to see you then.
Well, there you go. That's quite exciting, isn't it? I've got to be honest, I am really, really looking forward to doing a show here.
Completely live again,
even though
everything can go completely wrong again. That's the kind of the whole frisson of the unknown happening again at the with the live concerts. We've, the pre-recorded stuff has taken a lot of work to put together.
Well, it's amazing. I mean, the band show, I mean, me alone, and that's just the video editing. I mean, that's discounting our producer, Mark. I mean, probably 300 hours on putting that together, which is amazing, and I love it. And actually, watching it back on the TV this evening, I think
we were jigging along the whole time.
I think I probably enjoyed it for the first time, actually, because there have been moments where I've never wanted to watch it again, to be honest. So, I mean, we are really looking forward to bringing it back to where it all began, which is here, and hopefully our new broadband provider will have delivered the router by then, and we'll actually have some
stable
broadband
upload connection for you.
Yeah, to put it in perspective, we are actually broadcasting now at, it probably looks okay, but it's about 20% of what we would usually put a concert out at. And we're not moving much, are we? We're sitting still. Yeah. If we were to start moving around, it might start.
The technology can handle it. It's when you start getting all the lights moving, all the smoke moving,
yeah.
Smoke. And that's moving. Oh.
Who thought smoke would create so many difficulties? Yeah. But anyway, so there's the trailer. That's what's happening next year.
So is it time?
It's time. It's time for the tankard of truth. Wow, okay. Sorry, I wasn't expecting that.
I got carried away.
Well, no, by all means get carried away. And the great thing is, the way this camera's set up, I can actually move this, and you can actually get a better look. It'll focus in on the
I'm going to show them the bird then, the bird's sparkly bum. But
Speed the Plough, I think those that joined us for our last... I can't turn that the right way. There you go. For our last Q&A, that's the old poem. And yes, I think what Jay wants me to show you is we're not sure what this is. We
don't know where we got it from.
I think it's a robin, to be honest.
It's some kind of festive bird.
The sparkly partridge.
He looks very fancy.
We're not sure about that. So I have a sneaking suspicion we might not get through all of these this evening.
We probably won't. We didn't last time. We probably won't.
We've got a graph over there on the laptop which tells us how many people are watching, and I'm slightly shocked that 300 people plus have jumped over to watch us witter on about stuff, which is amazing, and we thank you for that. But we're suspecting there might be a bit of a dip in the old graph when Match of the Day comes on, because I think that's what happened last time. So, right, so without further ado, I'm going to keep this out of shot. Probably, is that out of shot? Is that out of shot? No, it's in shot. Okay, we'll leave it in shot then.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go first.
Okay.
Just because...
This is a very long, involved question, guys.
Oh my God. So, okay, right. Okay, this is a really good question.
Is this multiple questions at once?
No, this is just one really detailed question. Okay. I'm going to read this out in full because it's quite a serious question, actually. Mm-hmm. Hi, John and Jay. we would love to know how you deal with cows and horses crossing your only route when out on walks. We've had a few close encounters, and now... Oh, should I use the name?
Mm.
I think I know who this is now. Marie is really nervous, having been chased so much that we've ended up a few times nearly at the end of our walk, and we've had to double back rather than walk through a herd of cows or horses, or actually even just one. Marie is sure that she emits an aura of fear that they can sense. Any tips would be gratefully received.
I'm starting to feel a bit left out now, because the cows take no interest in us whatsoever. They don't know who we are.
Well, actually, we have had a number of some quite difficult encounters. We were out proof walking for the last book, weren't we?
Yeah.
With Jay's mum, Vicky, and her partner, Kev. Kev was so chilled about it. Made me feel quite embarrassed that I was maybe not quite so relaxed about it. They're probably just inquisitive, yes. I think. And in this case, I think that was the case. But because we live next to a piece of heathland, the heathland is maintained by having cattle grazing on it. You've got to have cattle grazing, because if you don't, pine trees will just grow up. So you've got to have cattle come to nibble on the pine trees. We've had to turn around a couple of times as well. And it's not because they're particularly scary cows. It's just that the paths are really narrow, and these cows they're very, very wide.
Yeah.
And you don't really feel like you particularly want to take a risk with a metric ton of meat, which is essentially... I'm not suggesting we're going to eat them, but so I'm not sure we've given you any tips at all.
No, but my only thought on that is that, for all the walking that we do, those particular encounters are very, very few and far between.
Yeah.
And in all of those times where it has gone a bit wrong, you've known about it within a second or two. If those cows haven't been looked up to see who you are within a few seconds, they really don't care. You could go up to them and smack them on the ass and they wouldn't care. So I don't recommend you do that, by the way. But you do kind of know it. It's that kind of thing. Once you get up to the hill and you try and walk to that gate, if the cows are coming towards you within a couple of seconds, that's when you're having a problem, and you've got to try and find a way. In all of that time, if they don't really care about you within a few seconds, they'll let you go through.
I don't think they think too much about us, to be honest, unless they've got young with them, and I think that's when you really do have to be very, very careful, particularly if you're walking with a dog. If they've got young calves, then definitely steer clear.
But that's where our OS maps come in handy, I think. If you have to find a new route, you'll kind of go on your OS maps, which are here, or we've got an OS app map now, which is very, very handy, and that can sort of find us a new alternative route as well. So that's our tip.
There you go.
Hope that answers your question. My go.
We're not bovine experts.
No, we're not. This is the thing. This is the other thing I've got to say. When any time we put any videos out about us, whether it's about tech, whether it's about me in the garden, me in the kitchen, it's not because we think we're particularly good at any of it. It's just because that we quite like having a nose at other people, and we know other people are a bit nosy as well. So we like just sharing what's going on, and if you get some tips, then great. But no, we are certainly not experts.
Oh, my gosh, it's another really long one.
Oh my goodness,
wow.
Okay, I hope this isn't a silly question, but I was wondering if there might be a song about Maiden Castle at some point in the future, maybe in connection with the Romans and their impact on Dorset, or about the much cooler Celts. Or maybe about Dorset hill forts in general, given how numerous and impressive they are. It would be great to have some walks involving them too. Apologies if you've done that already. Your walking books are on my wanted list. Awesome.
Well, the answer is
yes.
Yes, there may well be a song in Maiden Castle that we haven't discovered yet. But absolutely, there's a wealth of amazing hill forts in Dorset. And yeah, we've written about henges, and we have written about hill forts in passing, but in a more generic sense, I think, rather than specifically. So
but there was something
one for the future, maybe. In
the past, we were part of a project called The Land of Bone and Stone, which, if you know some of our songs, so Mother was part of this, Overthrown was part of this, To the Stones was part of that, and it's all very much about all the archaeology of that was found of people who've lived along these hill forts and along the South Dorset Ridgeway. And we've written other songs. We've had ideas about other songs, but as you might have heard from our previous Q&A, sometimes our ideas for songs can sit mulling for a few years before we actually get around to
half a decade before we get around to actually writing it.
There's irons in the fire, and the fires have been blazing for a very long time. But
so the short answer is
yes,
maybe.
Yes,
maybe. maybe. Okay, a slightly shorter.
Fewer than 4 lines. This one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you for the fantastic shows. You sung in St Aldham's Chapel during Ramblings with the Claire Boulding's radio show. It sounded emotional. Have you ever recorded anything there? Thanks. Happy Christmas. Stay safe. And that's from Nigel from Hampshire, the Badlands of Stockbridge. Well, it's always lovely to sing in St Aldham's Chapel, and in fact, we love singing in all of the Purbeck churches. There's something lovely about
any church in general, to be honest.
I mean, being out on a walk in particular and coming across a space that's just acoustically brilliant. We've not actually ever recorded anything in St Aldham's Chapel itself. We have recorded in some of the other Purbeck churches, St James's in Kingston.
There's a YouTube video, isn't it? We sang Shadows in St James's.
Yeah, and actually the recording on the album
was actually we recorded
our first album. Sorry, I'm just trying to think which one it was. Is recorded in that church because we just wanted to capture the acoustics, but. So, short answer, no, we haven't recorded in St Aldham's Chapel.
But we love it.
But yes, we would like to maybe one day. Mm-hmm. Maybe one day soon.
Next one.
Go for
it. Okay. Can you say something about the collaboration with the choirs on the Hour of the Blackbird? Thanks, Cheryl.
It was amazing. we thoroughly enjoyed it.
Yeah, we've done a few gigs with them now, with these guys at the Heart Voices and the Chantry Singers, and it's just amazing to have them singing along with Roy's arrangements. Wow. To have somebody who would sit and take some of our songs that we'd written, and they spent that time to write the arrangements, which writing them is blimmin' complicated enough. Learning them and singing them, and the amount of time and effort they put into singing those songs with us.
Absolutely
to actually
incredible.
have that, I could barely concentrate on my singing on those gigs because I'm listening to what those guys are singing.
It's just like the band, actually. Performing with the band is really, really hard because, frankly, as a performer, you just want to stop and listen to it. And it's the same with the choirs.
And to be honest, even in a normal gig, it takes all my brain power to sing and play at the same time. I'm not even kidding. It takes one tiny bit of a distraction for me to go.
We've got to say, though, on collaborations with the choir, the choirs, Chantry Singers, Heart Voices, they are launching a very, very exciting project tomorrow. Tomorrow's Sunday. Monday. They're launching a very exciting project on Monday. Keep an eye out. We've had a very, very small part in that, and we will be sharing it whenever they publicise that on Monday. It's a lovely, lovely Christmas related thing, and it's beautiful. So we always love singing with those guys, and hopefully there'll be concerts, real life, face-to-face concerts next year at some point. Fingers crossed, anyway. Right, going to delve in. Okay. What's your favourite folk album not connected with Ninebarrow?
Of which there are millions.
Can you imagine if we had said, what's your favourite folk album? Well, actually, it's our last album. That would just be... No, we wouldn't do that. Now, we saw that song came in late, hence why it's written in my handwriting rather than printed out. And we discussed this.
There's so many to even count, but one of the main ones that sort of springs to mind is Simpson, Cutting and Kerr. That was released a few Murmurs.
Can't remember what year. It was at least 3 years ago. It's got some amazing tracks on it. Funnily enough, we didn't share any tracks from that album, but if you watched our Wandering Minstrels broadcast, our first episode of that new broadcast, that's free to watch on YouTube. The episode's up there on our channel to watch. We've started introducing
a bit of what we love, a bit of stuff that inspires us.
A Spotify mixtape, we've called it, and month one was things that historically have been inspirational to us. If we were picking a playlist for the future, which we will be doing in the not too distant future because we are going to record more episodes of that, Simpson, Cutting Kerr will absolutely be on future playlists because that album just doesn't have a bad song on it. So I'd say of recent years, Murmurs, Simpson, Cutting Kerr.
Tons and tons, but that one today, at least in our mind, sticks out. So yeah, that's what we'll say. Next. How and where do you start the recording process and then marketing your songs? At home or in a recording studio? Ooh. So, answer to that varies depending on which version of Ninebarrow you ask, whether that is our early Ninebarrow or Waters in the Wild and beyond, because our first few
that's true.
It was a home studio. We had a little tiny Tascam desk and a little microphone that we plugged into. Our first one was in our kitchen to start off with.
You know what though? Actually, our first album we recorded we started in our kitchen downstairs when we were renting this house, and we migrated up to the spare bedroom. And I actually found one of the pieces of cardboard we stuck to the wall to stop the sound reflecting, because back then, I mean, we couldn't afford any of that fancy foam stuff that you have in studios.
Cardboard box.
So I got an old cardboard box and concertinaed it up and put it on the wall. And I found it in the garage because we used it as a moving box when we moved here. But it has changed. But I would say actually that all of our recording, all of our songs, they all begin here, because we still have that little Tascam mixing desk, and we actually, when we have a new idea, the seed of a song, we tend to record it very, very roughly, just in our little practice room upstairs. And then we come downstairs and we listen to it back and go, oh well, that's rubbish, no one will like that. and then we ditch it, never play it again. But eventually, I mean, now it goes to a studio and to our producer Mark, and he works his magic on it, and it comes back sounding marvellous. But yeah, it all starts at home. It just doesn't stay at home anymore. It goes to people with better skills than us.
No, but there was While the Blackthorn Burns and Releasing the Leaves were our first efforts together, and yeah,
seems
The
like
Waters
a
in the Wild,
ago,
and our new album coming out in March was with Mark Tucker, wonderful Mark Tucker. So,
all right, next up, I pulled two out there. This was a late one as well, because this is also written in handwriting. So, who chooses the menus for your walking holidays?
Oh.
Do they relate to the county and produce of Dorset in some way? Great question. Yes, is the short answer. The private chefs that we work with for the walking holidays, we give them one brief, and that is, you have to show off the produce of Dorset. That's it. And the way it works is that we obviously have meals from Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. We go to Monday's chef first and get them to prepare their menu, and then we go to Tuesday's chef. Sometimes they're the same chef, sometimes they're different. And basically, the further along the week you are, the more menus you have to juggle, because we say, well, someone's done pan-fried sea bream. You can't do that anymore. And they go, oh gosh, okay, well, I'll go for something else. So there you go. Yes, indeed. Yes, Dorset on a plate in a short answer.
Okie dokie. You sing a lovely song, A Pocket Full of Acorns. Do you have a favourite tree? From Tony and Kate Wake at Horton Village Hall.
Oh, Tony, guys, we love you guys. We should have been playing it. Well, in fact, I think we've now postponed the gig at Horton. I think we might have postponed it 3 times now, which is insane.
Really?
We love the gigs at Horton Village Hall.
Yes.
Sorry, go on, Jay. That was your question.
Okay, I was going to
hijack.
Have I got a favourite tree? Individually, no, we're not picky when it comes to our love of trees, but I suppose our favourite kind of variety of tree, all of them, big ones, the bigger the better. But I think my favourite tree in that song, A Pocket Full of Acorns, I feel a bit bad because I give magnolia trees a bit of a bad vibe because
they're crooked wood.
Yeah, crooked wood, and it's like, well, I feel a bit bad for throwing some shade. But yeah, I love magnolia trees, especially when they're blossoming and they're kind of holding out a little cup of wonderfulness at the end of a tree, at the end of their branch.
So Jay wrote that song, gave him a bad name, but actually it's his favourite tree. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. I was kind of giving it a
controversial,
likening the blossom, the holding out of a pretty promise that basically disappears after a few days, to something that maybe politicians might do. But that was my kind of
I don't have a favourite tree, but I love all trees. I'm not massively keen on pine plantations. I love old, gnarly trees. If you keep up with our videos on Facebook, quite often if we're out doing one of our Wonder Watch videos, I will come across a tree and just be like, oh, beautiful tree, we must film this.
Very excited.
And it's so, but the thing that I get,
I can feel happy for him, but
I get such a buzz. Thank you, patronising. I get such a buzz out of this living thing that has outlived kings and queens and Lord Nelson and all of these things.
It is very true.
The people that have sat below that and had shade below those boughs, I just get such a kick out of being there, knowing that you are sat down on a piece of ground that, you know, someone in the 15th, 14th, 13th, I mean, depends. I mean, if it's an old yew tree, you could be looking at thousands of years old potentially. Someone else's posterior has been on the ground that you are sat on, and I absolutely love that. And I mean, we haven't talked about the Woodland yet. We've looked at your comments on Facebook and on YouTube, and
we finally announced it after how many months of teasing it. We finally announced it. So
there were a lot of barriers to this project going ahead.
A lot of this might not happen. Folks,
not least securing the funding to go ahead with it, because it isn't something that we would be able to fund ourselves. So 75% of the costs being covered by the Woodland Trust is incredible. And it's a mixed woodland. We'll give you loads more details on this, but there's going to be 500 oak trees in it. I misspoke in the gig. It's not 1,200 trees. It's 1,000 trees, but there's 200 shrubberies. Any Monty Python fans out there will know what I'm getting at there. We're going to be planting 200 shrubberies.
Not 200 shrubs, not shrubberies. That's a lot of shrubberies, depending on.
Okay, I'm not going to go I'm not going to go there anymore. But so 1,000 trees, but 500 of them are going to be oak. And then there's a mixture of other native broadleaf species for the UK. And I said to Jay the other day, I was like, I actually can't believe we're doing this. I cannot believe we're doing this.
We only got the confirmation a little while ago, didn't we? It was really only in the last
weeks. We've got another really cool thing to announce about that project, but I'm not going to go into it tonight because it's too much. It's too much. But I would love to think that one day someone will, in these trees, in order to absorb the carbon that we're talking about them absorbing, which is about a ton per tree, they have to live their life. They have to live their entire life to do that.
It'd take a lot of caring for to start off with. So
yeah, but I'd love to think that someone, when we are long gone, I would love to think that someone will sit beneath the trees that we're going to plant at the beginning of March. I get such a kick out of that. We need to stop talking about trees, otherwise people are going to switch off. We're going to see the graph just like plummet.
Okay. What inspired Island at the Edge of the World? And that song has gripped my imagination since I first heard it, and I'd love to know how it came about.
There's no name on that, but that's got to be Carol that's asked that question. Carol, who we gave a birthday shout out, always goes on about Island at the Edge of the World. No one else, just Carol. That's your question, though, son.
Okay, well, it came about by, I think, on the bookshelf. People have actually asked us a bit. They're feeling a little bit like we're being book teasers here, and that we're showing off a little glimmer, a little hint of our bookshelf, and that they want to get a bit of a better deal about seeing what's going on. So allow us to enhance your viewing experience.
British Myths and Legends, the Folio Society. Hang on.
It's in, I think, book 1 of 3.
Is that Marvels and Magic?
I don't know. But there's a little tale in it called Island at the Edge of the World. And
what's the opening? It's the opening chapter. Hang on.
You're going to read an excerpt, John. You're going to...
I wasn't going to. Look. This is great. The book has got these lovely... I'm assuming these are woodcut images. And there you can see, prologue, the island at the edge of the world. I'm stealing your question here.
Go for it.
But I did write the song, and I'm slightly concerned you might not.
Exactly. I was really hoping that you would actually take it from me.
Jay might not know what the song's about. No, it is. I mean, if you saw our gig at the church in October, we talked a bit about this. To cut a long story short, it's essentially about how the people who lived on the shores of Europe, what is now Europe, viewed our island, our Britannia. And they had a belief that the souls of the dead resided on the island of Britia. And there's some debate over whether Britia is actually what is now the UK or whether it was somewhere else. But essentially, their beliefs were that in the middle of the night, the men folk of the fishing communities along those European shores, they could be called in the middle of the night and bound to row the souls of the dead over the English Channel to La Manche. Yes, very good, Jay. Very good.
Which means the sleeve. I don't know if you knew that, but La Manche is the sleeve in French.
Well, there you go. I didn't know that.
Because it's shaped like a big, long wizard's sleeve, apparently. Or a lady's gown sleeve.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go, everybody. You learn something new every day. Yeah. But yes, it is about one of those menfolk rowing one of those boats over. It's quite a depressing song, so I'm not going to go any further into it because I don't want to be on a downer just coming up to Christmas.
Can I pick another picture? Another question.
Question. Is it you? Is it me?
Well, you took mine last
I took yours. Okay. Right. Fair dues.
Hi guys, as long as we are back to a relatively normal life after the spring, can I still be hopeful about hosting a gig for you in Liverpool later in the year? I'm keeping my fingers crossed and toes. Happy Christmas, Leslie.
I was going to say, I know that's Leslie because that's the only gig we had booked in Liverpool. I'm going to take your question. Sorry,
John can take this one again.
I was going to do exactly the same thing again.
Go for it.
Oh,
you're allowed.
Well, I do the booking, so it's a little easier.
It really is much better that John answers this one.
Oh, we really hope so, Leslie.
Yes,
we really hope so. I mean, that's as far as we can go with that. I think in the trailer for the next gig in January, we probably summed it up really. Uncertainty is the name of the game, and we feel, hugely uncertain about the coming year, despite the vaccine and despite everything else.
It's certainly not going to be any time in the first few months, I don't think, of 2021. I think
certainly not in the first half, I don't think.
But there's every chance, I think, that
I think there is. Come
the summer and later in.
Fingers crossed. There's already festivals that have it's not a postponement anymore, is it? It's a cancellation, really. But there are already festivals that have already cancelled in 2021 because they simply cannot deal with the uncertainty.
I think, for festivals, people who organise it, it takes so much money up front to organise it and to have any uncertainty.
Holy moly! Let's not go down the Brexit route, but that is going to cause major issues in terms of you have to, as a festival, booking foreign artists from the EU. You've got to sponsor visas, all of this kind of stuff, and the time frame in which that now needs to be done is frighteningly short. We don't have to do any of that, which is great. So, yes, hopefully.
Yes, in answer to your question.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, absolutely.
I think I stole Jay's question again. Do you want to have another one? Go on.
Third time's a charm.
Third time's a charm.
Okay, I've taken two. How did you decide which songs to include in the new album?
All yours. Go on.
Well, a lot of the time, we do write quite a few. We trial quite a few. And we basically, when we gig them over the course of a year, we'll see which gets the biggest claps. And if we...
Any that get boos don't get included in the album.
We nix them. But that was quite a quick one. But it is... Yeah, it's I suppose this particular album that is coming up, it's got... perhaps a little bit more of a story behind it, just in terms of, with a pocket full of acorns, it's all about a bit more about the natural world and a bit about being nice to each other, making sure that we all treat each other and the planet that
more of a social, I suppose, a social conscience.
Yeah,
I think maybe it's not that we've consciously shied away from that, but I think we don't generally make a lot of political statements in our music, and unlike quite a lot of the folk world, there's no right or wrong in that. It's something that, for us, music is escapism, and sometimes it's to be reminded of what is happening in the real world, so to speak, is not always what makes us tick. But it just seems that I think over the last couple of years there have been things that, I don't know, I think we've both felt compelled to write about.
Yeah.
It's a compulsion that you see something and just think...
I think the world has changed an awful lot over the last sort of couple of years. It's just become a little bit more perhaps intense just to our minds. And I just think, it just felt... that is what our music's kind of gravitated towards this particular time. But, that's how musicians, that's how artists work, I think, isn't it?
It's not all kind of heavy.
No, it's not all heavy at all. No, there's plenty of lots of nice, lovely stuff as well, light stuff. But it just sometimes it feels like, we had a bit more of a message to say, I think. We felt a bit more like we wanted to get something off our chests. And that's how some of the songs came about for this new album. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. You have played in some beautiful venues.
Yes, we have.
If you can choose any venue in the world to play, where would you go? And when you can perform to live audiences again? Wow. I mean, for me, oh gosh,
anywhere in the world.
It's like
that's blown my mind, that particular question.
I would be tempted to not say some grand venue like the Sydney Opera House or
cool.
Ninebarrow at the Sydney Opera House. For me, it'd be under the sky. I mean, it would be
Corfe Castle. That's what we under the silhouette of Corfe Castle.
Yes, now that is a
cool.
great
If National
idea.
Trust could give us some sort of license to be able to have an outdoor concert with Corfe Castle behind us, that would be cool.
Okay.
Also,
Ninebarrow gig in front of Corfe Castle. Yeah. Let's make that happen.
But also, we went to the MinAct. We completely stumbled across the MinAct Theatre at the very end of Cornwall, completely by accident. We had no idea what it was, and we came across this place, and it was just like, oh my god, I love this.
MinAct Theatre is another one. I mean, if you've never heard of it, there's no point us trying to describe it for you. You just need to Google it. It's a theatre carved out of stone that looks out over the sea. Yeah. And it is just stunning.
Absolutely, yeah. So that could also be one.
One day.
So that's two venues.
If we were ever to set that gig up, you'd have to promise us that you were going to travel from the length of the country to come and see us.
To the end of Cornwall,
we'd be very worried that we would put that gig on and there'd be like 5 people clapping in the middle.
Yeah. You'd have to promise that you would come, no matter what the weather, because this is Cornwall we're talking about, and it's facing the end of the Atlantic Ocean.
If it sheets it down with rain, you just got to go with it, you know? No barns out there. Was that mine? That was mine. So.
That was mine.
Was it?
That was mine. I can't. Can you rewind it, guys? See what?
I'm pretty sure that was mine. Okay, never mind.
Here, there we go.
With so many songs being written over the years, is it becoming harder to write an original song?
I suppose the answer is no, but it's always hard.
See, now you're stealing my question.
It's always, very few songs, some of the songs they write themselves, and once you start, it's over, and, you just got it out there. There's a big splurge of creativity, and it's just there. But I think a lot of the songs, we find we've got these ideas. We've got a little notepad with loads of little ideas of little fragments of songs, fragments of stories you want to put together. Or sometimes you hear a story that that's just going to be an amazing song, and that people will love it. But it's just to get the poetry right, to get the tune right, and then... It's difficult. It's always hard. I wouldn't say it feels like it's getting harder necessarily. It's just
I wouldn't say so. I mean, at the end of the day, when you think about music and what it actually is, it is there are a limited number of notes, aren't there? And there are a limited number of combinations that you can have. Someone has always combined, the augmented fifth of whatever with the...
This is where we need Lee, the cellist, on board. He is extremely up together with all of the music theory.
I make it sound like I know what I'm talking about, but the boys in the band know that I'm an absolute fraud, because they go, what key are we playing this in, John? And I go... No, sorry, no, it's the key of this. Yes. So for us, I would say no. I don't think it is getting harder. But then again, I suppose there's not that many people writing the types of songs that we're writing about trees and Dorset, and so I suppose in that respect, I suppose when we run out of Dorset folklore, then things might start to get harder. But there's no shortage.
We've barely scratched the surface. I think that's the thing.
All of these books, they're filled with it, and we haven't got anywhere near through them yet. So good question, though.
So this one was hanging out begging to be asked. So what have we got? I really like your songs that are inspired by history. Are you particularly interested in history or just anything you see while you're out walking? Can you tell us more about the history behind the sea, please? Sorry, 2 questions. So we can probably roll them into one because so much of the stuff that we write, comes out of stuff that we see on the walks. Or, because we've been walking forever together and we've only been playing together as Ninebarrow for 7 or 8 years. And,
we've been walking a lot longer than that. Yeah.
That's been our pastime. That's been how we chill out, basically, for a very, very, very long time. But when we started off with Ninebarrow, and we were sort of thinking about trying to find what to write about, being outside, it seemed to be the perfect place to find the inspiration. And actually, especially in the early days of Ninebarrow, writing our own stuff, it actually gave us that impetus to sort of go looking through all these books and finding out the stuff that we'd walked past forever and didn't have a clue about the history behind them. And I think that's what really jumped out, so especially those early albums like with While the Blackthorn Burns and with Releasing the Leaves. Very, very much.
It's a process. It never gets boring. For us, it's have we always been fascinated in history? If I was to wind back and say, talk to the John that was taking his history GCSE.
No. History was dire when I was a kid at school.
The answer would be absolutely not. Yeah. But I went from hating history to being history coordinator at a primary school and loving it. Because my sole job was essentially to create a history curriculum that was exciting
and that mattered to kids.
That's
the thing. I think so much of history when we were at school in there,
you have to make it relevant. I think that's the key, isn't it? And it's about making it relevant. And
it can't just be a whole list of dates that you have to remember and a whole list of names. It doesn't mean a lot. What you really want to do is how did people live in the past? What did they do in the past? What sort of the ceremonies, the rituals, that sort of thing. That's the really captivating stuff.
And I think for kids, one of the first things I kind of said I was going to do when I took over that role at the primary school I was working at was I wanted to create some actual kind of archaeological moments where kids could dig up stuff and experience that moment of discovery of a window into a previous civilization.
And that's what I loved about when I heard John talking about how he was planning the curriculum. It was all about history as a skill rather than history as just a list of knowledge. Actually, inspiring a love of archaeology and exploration of the past rather than just being told what to do and just to ream it all off. And I think that is where, as an adult, I really started to come into loving history and really starting to feel, feeling a connection to it. Although I still find, especially going around National Trust properties, that there's things, National Trust tries so hard, they do a really, really, really good job of explaining the history. I still find myself getting quite frustrated that the paucity of my imagination, I can't actually imagine myself being in that place. I really want to be kind of transported and to be in that place and that time. And I wish I could. Maybe dressing up helps. I've not dressed up.
Dressing up, as a primary school teacher, I can say that absolutely dressing up does help, most definitely. So as far as the history behind the sea is concerned, that was, I suppose, really in the gig. We really spoke about that in the gig, so probably don't need to go over that again.
But being up in the Lake District, which is our second favourite county. We love Dorset. Cumbria is it's a very special place.
It is.
And being up in the hills is extremely special.
Right.
And you can explore that as well at a later date.
Sparkly Partridge. Let's see what we've got next. Okay, right. What do you think the music industry will look like in 5 years? Wow, what a question. Well, I think the music industry in 5 years is going to look a heck of a lot different to what anyone might have predicted it was going to look like 9 months ago. I think
I think there'll be a lot of, the actual live music is still going to be a huge part of the music scene in 5 years' time. But
absolutely is. There's no doubt about that. I think when the pandemic is over, and it will be over, everybody, it's just a matter of time. Live music absolutely will resurge, and people will want to go out and want to see live gigs, and we will be there ready to perform. But I'm not certain that the notion of online gigging and streaming is... I'm not sure that is going to be the same again, because, if 9 months ago you had said to Jay and I, okay, boys... fancy putting on a live stream from your lounge, or, you replace lounge with a barn or a church or whatever. We'd have just gone, you're insane. That simply doesn't work. There's no way. There's absolutely no way that can work. Technologically, there's no way anyone will buy into it. We would hate it. We'll hate it. It'll be horrible. It'll be rubbish. And then you're forced in to a situation where actually... You think, well, we can't do anything else, so let's do it. And suddenly you realise that, a lot of things have to align, though, don't they? It's not about us, really. It's about you guys, because...
But it's about us making it something that you would enjoy.
The gigs only work if the people that watch it are supportive, and we've been hugely fortunate. We count our lucky stars. That I still feel a bit weird saying the word fan base, because that's not really how it feels to us. I feel like it's a kind of family. It's a group of friends almost, rather than a fan base. That's not really how we think of it. So what will the music industry look like in 5 years? Well, for anyone else, I can't really say.
I can say that there's been, this year
for us,
you can see a whole load of innovation in various different types of music, and you've got people having concerts in online computer games now, which is bonkers. People actually meeting, they go as their little computer avatar in their computer game. They walk through the computer game they travel to the concert venue in their computer game, and they watch the show actually there, which is, I think, is incredible. But
now for the big announcement. Our album launch in March is going to be taking place in a computer game. No, it's not. It's not.
But I think one thing that we've done, we have really loved the challenge. We are perhaps a little bit peculiar in our love of tech. We are very au fait.
I think you could have just stopped at peculiar, Jay.
We're very peculiar. Yes. But we really enjoyed that kind of... we really enjoyed the challenge of doing the tech, but we wouldn't have enjoyed it anywhere near as much if you weren't following us at the same time.
And we wouldn't have enjoyed it as much if we were doing the other type of gigging at the same time, because it's actually... It would have been unmanageable to learn. So... Let's get to the short version of the answer that we've rambled about. What's it going to look like in 5 years' time?
Hybrid.
I think it's going to be hybrid. I think some people will want to go back to exactly the way it was, and there's nothing wrong with that, because that's what works for them. I think there will be a lot of people that look at the future of live music and say, well, live gigging is never going anywhere. There's nothing can beat being in a room with people and the buzz that you get. But actually, the online world allows you to do some things it is simply impossible to do at a face-to-face gig.
We'd love feature dancers in our concerts, but we can't afford that.
Feature dancers. In March, for our album launch, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be featured... No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not going to be in a computer game. It's not going to be featured dancers. We'll tell you about that later down the line. Okay, next. Question. Okay. Hi, John Jay. How did you decide to use the wonderful combination of instruments that's in your current lineup? Did you learn them at school? Was there family influence? Did you just wake up one day and think, I really want to play the ukulele? That's from Jennifer in Stockton-on-Tees. Jennifer, that is exactly what happened, actually. I think I was, 5 or 6 years into my teaching career, and I began the summer holiday, and I think up until that point I'd worked every summer holiday, almost every single day of the summer holiday, creating the lessons for the year after. It was a point in my early teaching career where I thought, actually, you know what, maybe I need a holiday. Perhaps I should do something to better myself. And I decided I was going to teach myself the ukulele, and my challenge was...
See, I picked up the uke first. My little sister, Paris, hey P, she had bought a little ukulele, and I'd picked it up. And I was having a little noodle around, not with any intention of doing anything at all, but I kind of realised that within a few hours, I was strumming along and making something akin to music. And it actually sounded like a bit of a tune. And I was like, wow, this is relatively easy, after a day to make. I was hacking it along, basically. And to get a uke sounding good, takes more than what I put into it. But that was the kind of, you then picked it up, didn't you? And you were just like, as John tends to do with most things in life, he will take it and he'll grab it in his jaws and he won't let go until he's very, very good at it.
Can I just say, you don't play the ukulele with your jaws?
No, you can't. That's
not how you should start. No. But I mean, so that's where it started. I mean, for Ninebarrow, that's where it started. For me personally, as a kid, very musical family with parents that were very encouraging of me, my brother and my sister all playing musical instruments. So we all played the piano. I played the trumpet. My brother played the trumpet. My sister played the saxophone. I kind of ditched the trumpet and spent more of my, I suppose, teenage years playing the piano. But you played the saxophone as well, didn't you? So we had a musical background before Ninebarrow. We've channeled that in a slightly different direction.
But Louisiana, the harmonium, the blue box, the harmonium, that was very much a serendipity as well, wasn't it? That was found in a box when John was working as a teacher. That was kind of a cupboard in one of the classrooms. Yeah. Gathering dust. No one knew what it was. It was going to be a raffle present or something, wasn't it?
It was going to be a raffle prize, I think.
John said, "Do you mind if I take
this?" It's incredible. No. I mean, you look back on these moments in your life, and I'm not joking. I went into the photocopying room, and on the back of a shelf behind a load of stacked paper, I found this blue thing, and it is the one we play today. I mean, it's the same one.
Hello, Wheezy.
I now own 7 or 8 of those. Only one of them is playable in addition to the one that we play. But it's amazing, these moments in your life that you look back on and think, my goodness, if I hadn't gone to do some photocopying that day, what would our careers look like now? Yeah. Ninebarrow is not just about the harmoniums, but it's become a real central thing. It's
a unique kind of thing, isn't it? So
there you go.
We've seen one other act play with a Louisiana, a Lorenzo reed organ is what they're actually called. But it was satisfying to see they were having just as much trouble getting it to sound right as we normally do.
It did all the weird rumbles that it normally does.
Yes. So
it's you.
Thank you. What we got? What's on the Christmas menu at Ninebarrow's HQ?
Definitely a question for Jay.
Okay, there will be.
I'll be making mild cider, but that's about where my input will stop.
Yes. I think. Our favourite go-to Christmas thing, actually, it's a pie, and it's a chicken, leek, and tarragon pie, which is kind of our favourite thing, and it's just our Christmas thing that we do. We have tried the veggie kind of chicken replacements, which are half decent these days.
In fact, we had some today.
Yeah, half decent, quite passable. I tried it. I tried the pie with fake chicken. It was not good. So
for those that don't know, we're flexitarians, so we generally eat vegetarian at home. We almost, I would say, it is almost never that we buy meat for the house. We occasionally, for a special occasion, we would eat meat, but we are big pie fans. Like for us, special occasion kind of equals pie, and given that on Christmas Day it is likely to probably just be Jay and I.
Little old us with our little Santa hats on.
This time. We're going to go down the pie route. But chicken, leek and tarragon.
There will be braised red cabbage as well. That's what I think things to do. Yes.
There will obviously be roast potatoes. I mean, can't have Christmas Day without roast potatoes. That's basically... that and the baby Jesus, that's pretty much what it's about, I think, isn't it? Cabbage, roast potatoes and Jesus, absolutely.
Yes, and then also there will be carrot and swede mash. That's my favourite thing. I introduced John to carrot and swede mash. It wasn't a thing for him before. Roast onions. He introduced roast onions to me. I'd never had roast onions with a roast before. Roast onions are amazing. So
there you go. We've introduced many things. That kind of sounds like we're basically going to take a roast dinner, and instead of the turkey, we're going to have a pie. But everything else is probably going to be there as well.
Yes,
that's mine.
Okay, sorry.
That's mine. Wow, good foodie link here. What food do you take with you when you're bagging Wainwrights? For those that don't know, we are Wainwright baggers, and that means that...
What's a Wainwright, John?
What's a Wainwright? Well, there are 214 fells. What's a fell? Well, a fell is it's not always a mountain, but it's essentially a pretty high hill that sometimes spans into a mountain-sized thing, that a chap called Alfred Wainwright decided were the 214 best, I suppose, fells, best mountains. Have we got
the Wainwright books to show?
No, I'm balancing the monitor. I've got the Wainwright books balanced up and the monitor's on it, so we can't get that out because it's going to be...
This guy, between over the course of about 30 or 40 years, did nothing but, by the sounds of things, walk the Lake District and handwrite and hand draw amazingly detailed pictures of the Lake District, maps of the hills from millions of different angles, from plan views. It's bonkers what this guy did. This work of a lifetime.
I have got another Wainwright book, but it's too deeply buried to show. So anyway, we're getting away from the question. But anyway, Wainwrights, hills, we're bagging them, and we're up to like 200 and odd. No, hang on, 100
50 or something?
150 odd, I think we're up to 140, 150.
No, 180. We had quite a good year last year, and we've not so much this year.
Can't be up to 180.
We're quite there. Anyway, moving on. We've got what we take with us.
Anyway, what we take. It's my question. Be quiet. Be quiet. Well, it varies depending on not whether we're walking with other people. If we walk with our friends Ben and Tom, who go up to the Lake District quite a bit. Hello, Ben and Tom, if you're watching. We go to nice delis and buy like Scotch eggs and things like that, and go up there and feel very Victorian as we eat our Scotch eggs. When it's Jay and I, we tend to have a pack of pita breads and a tube of primula.
Yeah, it's less salubrious. Our little mix, and we have trail mix as well, where we get mixed nuts and fruit. And I've convinced John it's important to have chocolate at some point in the trail mix. It's very important to have chocolate in the trail mix. You need
it's a bag of nuts and fruit and a bag of something, preferably like midget gems, and you basically pour them into one bag, and you have nuts, slow release energy, you have midget gems, instant energy.
Randoms, that's the nice thing. We got little jelly...
Roundtree's randoms.
Yes, very juicy,
product
fruity,
placement.
Nice little things.
If you're looking to sponsor us, Roundtrees, we'll take it. We'll take it. But there you go. So to be honest, we tend to actually... there's no decadence. We tend to go with stuff like we'll have oat cakes and stuff, things that are high calorie but easy to eat. Basically.
Mostly the squeezy cheese is the most important part.
The bottom line is it has to be something that you can eat whilst it is sheeting it down with rain, because generally that is what happens. So there you go.
There
you go.
Fine.
Go on, next.
Hi guys. In between you creating online gigs, writing new songs, taking pictures and creating a calendar, creating a new album and designing a new cover, taking walks in the beautiful area you live and creating a big band, Ninebarrow, taking time out to speak to your great fan base, what do you do in your spare time?
What spare time? What spare time?
Not a lot. Walking. No. That's the thing, isn't it? That's kind of in our spare time. That is what we do.
The thing is, we cannot complain. We are in a hugely fortunate position.
We do it for you guys, and you keep coming back for more.
But there aren't very many people out there that can say that the thing that they are passionate about and the thing that they love, they get to do for their job. We love music and we get to do that for our job. We love walking and we get to do that for our job. So the idea that you kind of think, oh gosh, we need to get out to go and film something or do anything, it's not the biggest chore in the world, because we love being outside and we love the process of putting all that together. But that's not really what you asked. What you said is, what do you do in your spare time? And the answer is, if we're being honest, we do like the PlayStation. We don't show you videos of that, but Jay and I do play on the PlayStation a bit. We like audiobooks. We listen to a lot of audiobooks. We like reading. We watch a lot of science fiction on television.
The Mandalorian at the moment, which is Star Wars, and I've got to admit, I'm not the biggest fan of Star Wars. per se.
Get out.
Yeah, I know people are going to sort of like, I can feel you throwing things at me through the camera. But yeah, not the biggest fan. It's all a bit fluffy and a bit for me. But actually, The Mandalorian was great. Really, really, really good fun. The amount of fun, the right amount of fun and right amount of silliness with a bit more grittiness.
That's what we're watching though. We're rewatching Game of Thrones probably for about the 5th time, I think. We've just recently completed Battlestar Galactica for the 4th or 5th time.
The Starbucks. This is why we said you're winning at Surnames. Starbuck is the name of one of our favourite characters in Battlestar Galactica.
Yes, the Starbucks whose birthday it was earlier. There's a character in Battlestar Galactica called Starbuck who we love. But in our spare time, and we go out walking. I mean, like
that's what we try to make some time to do.
That's what we try and do because we just. Nothing is as good for your head and your mental well-being as simply in fairness, getting away from the TV and getting away from the internet and going somewhere where there's no signal and getting some headspace.
Yeah,
I mean,
get some sunshine on your skin. I looked at, for the first time, I've had my watch off, and normally I've actually got a bit of a tan line.
Go on,
here.
put it up to the camera, Jay. Look at this tan line. Can you see that?
Well, you can barely see it these days. You can just about see it now, but
it's a horrendous tan line now.
It's horrendous.
But it's beginning to fade now. But
it's just kind of like testament to how little sunlight I'm actually getting.
Shortest day is nearly here. It'll all be over soon. Right, come on. Let's. We're never going to get through these questions. We're going to have another Q&A at some point in the future. The problem is we don't answer the question. We waffle about. we go, oh, that's a nice question. Should we just talk about something completely different? If you could work with any musicians, living or not, from any musical genre, who would you choose? Okay, this is my question.
Okay.
My answer to that is, you might expect me to pick a folk musician or something like that, but personally, I would pick one of the great classical composers, because somebody who's produced some beautiful, adagio for strings or something like that. The notion of working with a world-class composer, classical composer that could do something, take your music in a completely different direction, that's what I would do.
I feel like we've already done that with Roy Rashbrook. I think he is world-class.
What am I talking about? We've already done it! Roy didn't do strings though, in fairness, but I feel Roy has ticked the choral box, no doubt about it. But yeah, I think, it'd be nice to see what Rachmaninoff could do to a Ninebarrow arrangement.
Yeah.
Maybe, I don't know.
He'll do.
Rachmaninoff, we'll start with him.
So next, I love all of your songs and tales they tell, but I've often wondered, if someone asked me which was my favourite, I think I struggle to choose between Siege, The Pinner, To the Stones and 13 Turns. Having said that, what is your favourite song and why?
You go first. Quick answer.
My favourite? I always come back to The Hour of the Blackbird. It makes me so happy to sing that song. It makes me so happy to listen to it. Once I've done my big note at the end, I can just listen to all the Tweety Birds or the ukulele happening at the end. I love that song. It's my favourite.
It's the fear of the high note though. That's the problem with that song for me. There's always the uncertainty of, am I going to be able to hit this note vocally? For me, I've always had a thing for silent prayer. I mean, there's other songs that I love, but actually, having just watched the show with with JP and Lee playing on that, I love what those guys add to that song, and there's a delicacy about it and an intricacy. I also love. It changes all the time. 13 Turns after watching the band show. I love that. But the thing is, it could change any day. Generally, my favourite song is the one that I've just written. Like when we've just finished arranging a song, it's usually the buzz about that. That's the one that is your favourite at any one moment, and I think that's a positive thing to have actually. But yeah, there you go. A bumbling answer, but an answer nonetheless. How does it feel to have created this new big online family who think we know you?
John, I didn't actually tell you this. I saw my dad and Catherine earlier today, and apparently we put a little video out on the Barrow Bods, which we'll come back to the wonderful community that you guys are in a bit. But yeah, on the Barrow Bods, we put pictures of little tiny Otis when he was a tiny puppy who fit into a hand who was about this big. And somebody, somebody apparently a couple of weeks ago, somebody actually spotted Otis and said, is that Otis? And Catherine was like, yes, he is actually. Can I get some photos?
No! Yeah. No way! Oh my God! We don't get that! I don't believe that! It's very rare. Yeah. There's a few times people have come and asked for our photo, but I can't believe they're asking for a photo of the dog.
Yeah, baby. So, that was just a little segue into...
He's an absolute cutie.
Yeah, but how
does it feel?
Amazing.
Well, the thing is, I mean, you say you think we know you. You probably know us as well as anybody because we kind of we do wear our hearts on our sleeves, really, and what you see is generally the real us. I mean, we argue a little bit more than you see on camera. We probably swear a little bit more than you see on camera, but other than that, that's pretty much what we do, really. So how does it feel? Totally overwhelming.
Yep.
To be perfectly honest, totally overwhelming.
And that was the thing, just sort of being able to watch the show at the same time as you guys, and actually having all of your lovely comments that were coming up. It makes you do that. It's just
makes you grab your chest like this. I mean, I have to say, the emotional roller coaster of days like today. I mean, I go from the whole technology thing. My goodness, we worry every time that something's going to let us down. We have so many redundancies in place and all that. So I go from being... I mean, I was so nervous before this one because so many people, aside from us, so many people have worked so hard on this. The notion that something might go wrong technologically and that there were so many people looking forward to it. I mean, I literally was shaking. I was so nervous. And then by the time the first half had finished... we've lost our NDI signal.
I think it sounds like you can probably still hear us. John's going to do some poking and prodding of the camera. We're not back yet. It's still black.
2 seconds, guys. These things are sent to test us. I think that's going to do it.
There we go.
I think we're back live. For some reason, my phone, my camera decided it was going to disappear there. Where were we?
I don't know if that was telling us something, guys. If the camera's time to go to bed now.
The camera's bored now, boys. Bored now, getting too emotional. I mean, the emotional roller coaster of going from that kind of nervous, frankly, ruin of a person to then the fact that there are all those comments and you guys are out there watching it and enjoying it. It's incredible. Well, I mean, we said it in the recording. I mean, we will never be able to express how grateful we are to everybody for their support.
But we are, and we'll try.
We really
do try and express it.
We'll continue to try.
We are so grateful. We really, really are.
Go on, you're next.
I'm next. Okay. What time have we put a bedtime in the schedule, John? Or
we haven't put a bedtime.
Go on. Is it a lock-in?
There's still 215 people watching, which is slightly incredible. I can't believe that. I mean, the graph is going down. I think we hit match of the day a few minutes ago. It's just gone down a bit, but
it's been steady. It's a big launch, and then it's like a gliding. It's a parasender going down. But what has been your favourite Wainwright walk or climb? Submitted by Karen and Andy from Cumbria.
Go on, show them the diary, Jay. Show them
the diary. Okay, so this is our Wainwright diary.
We prepared for this.
We've put over the years. We've put a few little kind of doodles on. There's a sheep going meh. There's the Castle Rigstone circle there. Yeah. There's us having a shower.
I drew that
in a waterfall.
I didn't teach art when I was a primary teacher.
That's Bar S. There's a couple of new tapas places which we absolutely love. We go there every time we can in Keswick or in Ambleside, Baris, which is wonderful. But yeah, we've kept a diary of every day that we've had.
This is the last page of the diary.
Oh,
I've no idea. Well, I think that's trying to get a pen to work, maybe.
And I think that was the artist impression of the mist and the fog as you are trying to look through to see the vista, and all you can see is nothing.
So, look, for those of you, I mean, we've mentioned our Wainwright diary, like you all know about it. Our Wainwright diary, we've kept this since we started walking Wainwrights in.
We started in 2003. We were 18. Our first trip to the Lake District, we went up to the lakes because we thought it would be nice. We were woefully unprepared. We went up in jeans and trainers and hoodies, and we had a little tent from Tesco, which didn't last a night.
It was Argos, actually.
Argos, okay, fine.
But look, this our Wainwright diary. So you can see that. So there's pages here. So these are all the Wainwright fells, and the ones that we have done. We've marked with numbers down here, and so you go into the book, and we've written every day that we've walked in the Wainwright in Cumbria.
Yeah, I'll show you the photos.
So and we keep photos in there as well. So this is my mum's going to hate this because I love. Hang on, this one's great.
Cheers,
Mum. That was her first beer. Honestly, it was her first beer. She looks absolutely sloshed, doesn't she? And the thing is, if I know that right now she'll be pulling that face. Jonathan, I can't believe you've done that, Jonathan. Favourite Wainwright? Again, it's like songwriting. It's always the last one.
Yes. I'd say my favourite ones, we love getting up there. Their sense of achievement being on the top ones is amazing. But the most beautiful views are often on the lowest ones, really down near the lakes, like Loughrig.
For me, the most recent one, we had an amazing day. It was the penultimate day of our last trip. And we went up Sour Milk Gill, which is an amazing name for a start. Called Sour Milk Gill because when it's running in spate, the water takes on this almost off-white colour like sour milk. And we thought...
So it's not that imaginative, really.
No, it's not that imaginative. No. We thought the day was going to be horrendous. And what we got out of the day was just this stunning walk, absolutely stunning. And it was one of those days where you started off in full waterproofs and gradually you took them off. And we just got this most amazing view from the top. And I think... Slapestone Edge I've got written here. The gentle climb up Sour Milk Gill was very pleasant, with the Easedale Beck meandering gently down below the waterfalls out of the tarn itself. The trail got steeper up between Eagle Crag and Bells, not a real mountain with a nice triangular peak. The trail west behind Slapestone Edge could have been a total bog fest, but actually was fine, and we arrived at the summit with incredible panoramic views with rain in lots of directions, but not over us. Definitely one of our favourite walks. It's that moment of like you've snatched a beautiful view from the jaws of the rain and the mist.
I can tell you our least favourite of the Wainwrights. There's only a very tiny handful of walks we've tried to go through that we really hated. Armboth Fell. What on earth is that doing in the Wainwright books? It's not even a peak, and it's just bogs for miles around. We did not enjoy that one. But the rest you could take a pick.
An absolute quagmire. We can answer another question because there's another one in there about this. I know because I've seen it. Are you leaving? Is there one Wainwright that you're leaving for your last one when you finally get to your 214? The answer is we think we're going to leave Kirk Fell. At the head of the Wasdale Valley.
I think it's the only one that's actually defeated us. And
it's defeated us twice.
Yeah.
Well, it's defeated me twice.
Me once. It was the worst walking experience ever. It was the last day of walking. I think we were there for 4 days. On the fourth day, we thought we'd try and get as many as possible on that day. We looked up, and we looked up to the left, and we thought, we could do Kirk Fell.
The weather surely can't be as bad as it looks, and it turned out it was worse.
It really can.
It really was worse than it looks, and it was
painful rain actually hurting your face as you try and walk into it. And,
so we think, having now attempted it twice and had to turn back, we think we're going to leave that one until last.
That would feel satisfying.
I think it would feel quite satisfying. I think it's you.
Me? Okay.
I think it's you.
Is Jay still a practicing GP? I noticed in the citation for his award-winning photo that he said he was still a GP. The answer is yes.
Did you say award-winning photo?
Yes, I am, and I still love it. And I think that was the thing when we were coming to that decision. We were in 2012. We started off, and through mostly John's very hard work at gig acquisition over those years, we were trying, because he was still a teacher at that time, and trying to fit as much music as possible into the weekends and the summer holidays. At the time, in those early years, like I was the only guy in the surgery who really wanted. No one else had kids at the time, so the summer holidays had free reign on, basically. So it was very, very lucky that I could just take those days off, those weeks off, and we could play music to people. But then at one point you came home one January, the first day of term back after Christmas, virtually in tears. Was the ridiculous.
I think as many teachers come back after the first day back after January,
and you
saying something along the lines of, maybe with a few more expletives, I can't do this anymore.
Yeah.
I think there's got to be another way.
Yeah. And so you then handed your notice in, which meant that I had to hand my notice in as well, which I got to say I was less desperate to do, to be honest. I mean, don't get me wrong, it's hard work being a GP day in, day out, and doing everything. Seeing the patients is kind of like being a teacher. The actual seeing the kids is the best bit of the job. Seeing the patients for me is the best bit of the job. It's everything else around it, like the paperwork, the bloods, the phone calls, and everything else that goes around it is a lot.
I think I think we've ended up with a lovely balance of things, because I think Jay and I both love. I mean, particularly over the last year, as it happens, we love being creative. And love, stimulating experiences, I think. And Jay gets that from being in surgery and has done quite a lot more of that this year than he would normally have done.
That is something I get. I still get.
You get
a very happy. I still come back completely exhausted, and John looks at me going, "Why are you doing it?" And it's like, "Oh, I don't know."
but then Jay does exactly the same thing to me after I finish at 2 a.m. editing the band show. He goes, "Why are you doing this?" And I go, "Well, because despite the look on my face, I do love doing this. Like, I absolutely love it." So short answer, yes.
Yes, short answer, yes. Still practicing and still enjoy it.
What's the story behind the song? Okay, you're going to have to answer this.
Okay.
What's the story behind the song Walk With Me? It's my favourite. Love the words, melody, and your harmonising. Sends shivers up my spine. Oh, thank you, Mary. Thank you.
Well, that was very much one of the first songs that we wrote, and it's actually one that I wrote in large part. And actually the tune, we spoke in the last Q&A about what some of you may regard as my questionable taste in music, saying that I grew up in a different musical tastes compared to John, who had a much better guiding hand with his taste in folk music. I was much more into electronic dance music, and it's the sort of thing that still, it makes my brain happy, even though it might not make your brains happy. It still makes my brain happy. I've got a higher tolerance for electronic and pop music, and this song, actually, it's very much inspired, not so much by the song that won the 2012 Eurovision Song Contest, the Swedish song by Loreen. That there is, on the album version, there is a string prelude to it.
I feel a bit uncomfortable about
that. I know you do. But they're asking about this particular song. So the album version of Loreen, Euphoria, you can listen to the wonderful violin string arrangements, and as soon as it goes into the actual track, you can press pause if you want, that's fine. But that was the inspiration.
No one's going to go and listen to this.
No, they're not, that's fine. But they're asking. So... But it's that's how the tune started in my mind. I love that little string arrangement.
What about the words?
The words is just about me writing a song. I think that the thought of the song came about again by by Patrick Wolf. Again, we've spoken about him. He wrote Teignmouth, who played earlier. We played his song Teignmouth earlier in the show. But he's written another song called Together, and it's very much the sentiment of the chorus is, I can do this alone, but we can do this so much better together. And it's such a wonderful message, because I think so many love songs is like, baby, I can't do this without you, I can't live without you, just be with me forever. And actually I loved that notion of, I can do this alone, I can actually manage,
but it would be better with you.
Why don't we do it together? Because actually it can make it, we can be better together. We're more than the sum of our parts. I love that sentiment.
Patrick Wolf, he's the thread that binds Ninebarrow together, isn't he?
As much as you'd hate to admit it, but he has.
He's an influence. He's definitely
a big influence. His songwriting has been a big influence to me, and I suppose that's the thing. It's his voice might turn people off. The music around it might turn people off. It's something that really it just makes me.
You've got to look past the voice and look past the music.
No.
No, honestly, you don't.
He's my wavelength. That's the thing.
That was my initial impression, but actually, you delve more into Patrick Wolf.
He writes some lovely songs.
He does, particularly his acoustic stuff. Okay, the two of you. This is a great question. The two of you spend so much time together, professionally as well as personally.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any particular things apart from the drone that you have rows about?
Yes.
In a word.
It's mostly about the dishwasher, how John cannot load the dishwasher for toffee.
I nearly swore then. That's absolute...
I've got the way of doing it.
Rubbish.
Most of the time it comes out clean. When
That's
John tries to do it, he tries to put the big saucepans in, so you can put the big saucepan and the big wok in, and that's it. And he closes the door and turns it on, and it's like leaves all the plates and the cups on the side of the sink.
The bottom line is we argue about pretty much everything. There you go. How about that? There you go. That's the honest answer. Yes. I think you stole my answer. I'm having another one.
It's the bickering.
I'm having another one. Cheese or chocolate? Cheese. Cheese.
No,
there
it's chocolate.
Cheese.
Chocolate.
No.
Chocolate.
You are joking me.
Not at all.
No. I'm not kidding. That is the question. It says cheese or chocolate.
Life would be bad if I couldn't have either cheese or chocolate. But I get joy, sheer joy from chocolate. It makes my heart sing whenever I eat chocolate. Cheese makes me happy, sure, but
okay, we're going to have to agree to disagree on this. Do you row about anything? Yes, cheese and chocolate. There you go. Cheese every time. I am the guy who at the Christmas party, the office Christmas party, everybody comes, it's dessert time, everyone comes around with their little, pudding, whatever it is, the Christmas pudding, that's what I'm trying to remember. Christmas pudding, trifle. I'm the one guy there with the cheese course, and it will always be the cheese course.
I'm all about chocolate cake. I can't get enough chocolate cake, really.
Okay, this Christmas Day we'll have the pie thing. We'll have the pie thing, and then you will have the chocolate. I will have the cheese.
And we have been sent chocolate. We have been very, very happy when we got some lovely, very special fans who sent us 2 chocolate oranges. But I think they've got the message that we don't share chocolate. It's got to be. I've got to have at least one.
We've had a couple of chocolate deliveries actually. We've had some chocolate acorns delivered as well, and some chocolate oranges. But the thing that I did find amusing was the fact there were 2 chocolate oranges and not one, and it was like there was just this sense, perhaps that John and Kate that sent them maybe thought that maybe John and Jay just weren't very good at sharing.
When John was a teacher, he used to have the staff meetings and everything, and also at Christmas, these lovely kids and their families would give John lots of presents. Some of which were chocolate, and apparently he would keep the chocolate at school for staff meetings. I'm like, John, that's mine. That's rightfully mine. You have to bring that home.
I was the head of year, and my meetings were always the best because I had the most amount of chocolate. That's how...
It should have been mine.
Okay, moving on.
Yeah. Chocolate.
Pandemic allowing, will we be able to see the 5-piece in 2021? Okay, quick answer. Yes, if you're booked onto a Ninebarrow musical walking holiday. Yes, if you're coming to Purbeck Valley Folk Festival. Other than that, probably no. Moving on. Over to you.
Okay, all right, okay. We know you do lots of walking in this county, but do you walk abroad? And if so, what are your favourites? Do you walk abroad?
That sounds almost kind of something like you might say in pole dart.
We take the airs abroad. Yeah.
Do you walk abroad, sir?
We do. But not enough.
Not enough, no.
I think actually the last time we did some proper walking abroad, I think shamefully, was 2007. But it was in south of France. Yeah. That was our first. We had a little tin can Peugeot 106 tin can green car. Way.
13 hours in one go.
Yeah, there's a photo of me behind the wheel scowling, just going, can't keep my eyes open. We had a little campsite there. The French don't really do campsites, we've discovered.
Well, that's not true. They do them.
They do them,
but they don't like them.
They're called small campsites. The ones that you...
this is not true.
Well, the first one was in Avignon. It was basically in the middle of a roundabout in a town.
Okay.
And it was a gravel trap that you had to put your...
Okay.
They didn't... That was not a campsite.
I'm willing to admit I might have booked the wrong campsite for that one. However, we did go to some
And the second one, people were going, so where's the discotheque?
Jay, we went to some. We had some lovely. Look, I've got a book here. It's about small
Eventually,
campsites.
we found an amazing one, which is our favourite.
We did find some amazing campsites.
With no discotheque.
And we did do some walking in the south of France. Have we done any recently? No, we haven't. Would we like to do some more? Yes, we would.
Yes.
Next question. Have you ever thought of doing a Ninebarrow winter fleece with your logo embroidered on it?
We have now.
We have now, Alison. Thanks for the idea. Ninebarrow embroidered fleece is coming to you sometime soon. There you go.
Was it music or walking that most sustained you during lockdown?
Wow.
Interesting.
Both.
It was both. But I think the thing about... To answer that question, music or walking. Now, music is amazing. Music is work. Music involves our brains being active, and it's kind of it drains the batteries. It's putting the batteries into something really creative and really awesome, but then recharging your batteries is walking. That is.
I would say personally,
both of them, really.
I think the thing is, you can they both sustain me, because without the creativity
and something to keep you going for
the musical output and learning how to do all the technology side of things, without that, I personally would have felt without a rudder, without anything to kind of guide me forward. But you're absolutely right. The moment of getting out and just feeling the sun on your skin. I mean, I did it today. Jay had already been out whilst I'd been kind of prepping some stuff here, and so Jay stayed in, and I just went out for an hour and I looped around to the top of we're kind of quite close to the top of a hill here, and if you carry on walking up a bit out onto the heath, you can watch the sunset out towards Poole Harbour, and I just looped out there. And my goodness, when I got back, like, I'd been walking for 45 minutes, but yet by the time I got back, I felt more energised and more revitalised. So I think both have sustained us, but
the music's given us the reason to keep going. You know, having you guys to do something for has been amazing.
But we feel hugely fortunate to live in a place where even in lockdown, we can step out of the door and within 45 seconds, give or take, we can be on a piece of heathland and walking out in a beautiful area. So yes, good question. Good question.
Whose was that one?
That was mine, I think.
It was my one. Okay. Have you ever been to Tintagel in Cornwall? Beautifully rugged coast with legends and tales of King Arthur. We wondered whether you had ever thought of writing a song about this area, and we would love it if you would. So, from Dawn and Mark. And we have been to Tintagel.
Yes, we have.
Yes. And would you write a song about it? Yes, we would.
Yes, we would. We haven't yet, but maybe one day in the future we would. Love Tintagel. I mean, the whole kind of Arthurian legend. There was a bit of a debate about some of they've got some, I don't know what they're made of, which metal they're made of, but kind of statues out there. And they've got an amazing bridge that they have built out at Tintagel as well, that kind of, doesn't it expand and contract in the heat? They've created it in such a way that I remember hearing something about that, but I don't know enough.
There's a gap in the middle of it, so you've got to be careful you don't tread on it. But in the heat of the day, it would expand. So
it expand at that time of year. I mean, as a guy who, I did an English literature degree at Cardiff Uni, and some of my modules were about the Arthurian legend. I love Tintagel. I like all of that kind of stuff. So yes, and maybe, I think, are the short answers to your questions there. What kinds of music do you listen to when relaxing? I think we might have touched on this in the last Q&A, but for those that weren't a part of that, I mean, the shortened version of this is, what type of music do you listen to when relaxing? Well, for me personally, I'll give you I'll give you a few ideas, right? So when we finished working on the new album, which is now finished and is going to be released on the 5th of March, everybody, there were some groans, I think, during the show when on the Facebook chat, we had said March, and people saying, "Oh, March," and I was like, "Well, it's early March. It's the 5th of March. That's quite early in March. That's not that long."
It's quite a long time.
I'd spent probably I don't know, maybe 3 months listening to nothing else apart from the new Ninebarrow album, and when I pressed that button when it was put to bed and it was like, "That's finished. It's done," the first thing I put on was Rage Against the Machine.
To relax.
To relax.
Yes.
I'm not kidding. I listened to like Battle for Los Angeles about 10 times on repeat, just to kind of like blast folk music out of my head. But I am generally at my happiest when I'm listening to folk music, but I will happily stray into heavy metal. I will listen to classical. We both love...
Classic FM is a good one.
We both love listening to an online radio station called FIP, which is a French radio station which has got amazing mixture of kind of groovy stuff, folky stuff, world music, classical music.
That was on as we were doing our Christmas elf thing, packaging all the Christmas orders up earlier last week. That kept us going. So,
but you, Jay, I've forgotten what the question was now, but it was what do you listen to when you're relaxing?
Oh, just all sorts. Very much what you're talking about, and it's like I just think when I talk about relaxing, we put classic FM on.
Classic FM in the evening is something we listen to quite a lot, actually. Mm-hmm. And funnily enough, we get quite a lot of inspiration from Classic FM. The
Waters in the Wild.
The Waters in the Wild, the song
came
The Waters in the Wild.
Actually about this time of year.
It did.
A few years ago to a really gorgeous Christmas carol.
It's the Coventry Carol, but the arrangement by is it Philip Stortford? Is it Philip Stortford? I can't remember.
That rings a bell.
I remember the moment I heard it. I was driving through Broadstone, which is not where we live, basically through the high street, and I put the radio on and it came on, and I heard this amazing song and the chord sequence and the beautiful transitions and the harmonies and stuff, and I pulled over. I very rarely do anything like this, but I pulled over because I wanted to stop and listen to it, and there was a transition of... this is not plagiarism, by the way. I just like to say that. It's not plagiarism, but it's inspiration. I found the song so inspiring, the movement of the vocal harmony within that song. The Coventry Carol, Philip Stortford, I think it is.
We'll put it up
anyway, you'll find it. You'll find it if you Google.
Yeah.
My goodness, it is an absolutely beautiful version of the Coventry Carol. That is the genesis of the Waters in the Wild. We didn't nick it. There's just a couple of transitions in there that were the inspiration, because I heard it and I wanted to go away and recreate a similar feeling. So yeah, go and look it up. We'll post a link to it. At some point. But what do you listen to? Me, heavy metal. Jay, Eurovision Song Contest, both of us, Classic FM. There you go.
Do you know the Copper family?
Hang on, I've prepared for this. No.
We don't know the Copper family.
However,
we know of them.
There you go. That's the shelf down there.
Every season.
A song for every season. We don't know the Copper family personally. However, we do know of their music and
enjoy their music.
Fine stuff it is too. Hi guys. Do you have any plans to increase the size of your band and go electric? Short answer?
Yes.
No. The short answer is no. This person... so I'm a huge supporter of electric folk music, fan of early Fairport Convention, Steel Ice Band, the Albion Band. Thought that your songs were perfect for the to be enhanced by the power of electric instruments. Mm-hmm. Or maybe a remix at some point down the line, perhaps. I would say that at the moment, no plans to go electric.
No firm plans.
No firm plans to go electric. But hey, midlife crisis is only just a few years down the road.
We're going to change things up. Okay. So could the story of Agglestone Rock being thrown from Old Harry be an inspiration for a song? And the answer is yes.
That might mean nothing to a lot of people that are listening.
I think it could definitely be the inspiration for one of the episodes of Barrow Bods. I know the Wandering Minstrels.
The Wandering Minstrels.
We can take you on a walk around Studland.
For those that don't know, the Agglestone is a rock that sits in the middle of Studland. Jay has something in his eye. Just quietly poke that out of your eye, Jay.
Am I off screen now?
You are. Try not to kick the microphone while you're off screen. That'd be great, Jay. Thanks for that. So pro.
Smooth.
So pro.
Mm-hmm.
The Agglestone is this. It's almost like, if you were thinking about a glaciated landscape, it would be an erratic. Like, it is totally out of place in the landscape that it's in.
Great, big, huge hunk of rock. And we're not talking rock, we're talking...
It's huge.
Yeah.
It used to be called the Devil's Anvil, but as time has weathered it away, it's gradually looked less like an anvil and more like a slightly weathered massive rock that people still climb. The idea was that the devil threw it over his shoulder and was aiming for... I think it depends on who you... Was he throwing from the Isle of Wight towards Corfe Castle or Swanage, depending on who you look at, who you listen to.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, the Agglestone...
He missed.
He missed, yeah, landed in the heath, and could definitely be the subject of a song. We haven't written it yet, but maybe in the future. Knowing that you love walking and that you love ticking off the Wainwright, what are you keeping as your last one? We've answered it.
Kirk Fell. Yes.
That's about St Aldham's Chapel. Do you find it a relaxing place? Yes, we do. I think we've answered that already as well.
We thought we
wheedled out the double questions, but clearly
wheedled, but we had looked to see if there were doubles. And
when the pandemic is finally we've answered this as well, but I'm going to read this out in full because it's an important question, really. When the pandemic is finally over and live concerts can take place again, will you consider continuing with live streams? My husband has Alzheimer's and we can no longer go to venues. Live streams mean that we can still enjoy gigs. And that's from Jill Campbell. And the answer, Jill, is that we don't ever see, for Ninebarrow, personally, we don't ever see a time where we will go back to having no online concerts. Yeah. We just don't...
We've now thought about, we absolutely will be playing live again, no question about it. But, we feel now that we've put so much work and effort into this kind of online world and the online system. And we've really seen the benefits, and you've told us, that you enjoy them.
I think, and for me, this is a prime example. We so often get people messaging saying, goodness me, you might only come to my village hall once every 3 years. Mm-hmm. And there's no way that I could really travel, 60, 70, 80 miles to come and see you at the next nearest place that you're playing. So the fact that I have been able to see Ninebarrow perform live and pre-recorded 5, 6, 7, what was it? 7? It's the seventh concert this year.
Good work, guys.
It's amazing. It's amazing to know that there are people out there that have come to every single concert and frankly are just gluttons for Ninebarrow punishment and want to listen to us again and again and again. It's amazing. But we love the fact that we can really bring the music to you when we might not be able to bring it to you, easily to a venue that was near to you.
But it's also been like a driver for us to be more inventive with what we can do with the music and the shows as well. It's something.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness, have we got some exciting stuff planned for 2021? We planned 3-4 months ago, we took the decision that we would plan 2021 to be fully digital if it had to be. We hope it won't have to be, and we hope we will be giving live gigs again. But even if we do those live gigs, we are going to continue with the full digital lineup as well, because A, we've done quite a lot of planning, and B, they offer something entirely different from what you can experience if you were going to come and see us live. It's not better, it's not worse, it's just different. And we want to share it with you. So the answer is absolutely yes. We're definitely going to continue the online gigs.
So how much more are we... Is it bedtime? Or...
Okay, 9 minutes. We're going to stop at 11 o'clock, everybody.
Oh my God, you 10 to 11?
It's 8 minutes to 11 now. 8 minutes to 11. And I
that
can't
time
believe
has really flown.
I can't believe there's nearly 175 of you still watching. That doesn't account for doubles as well. So, thank you.
Oh, go team!
I can't believe there are people listening to us Twitter on.
Wow.
So we are going to can it at 11.
Yes.
We'll get through as many as we can. We're going to go fast now.
From Dina and Kev from Wareham.
Okay.
When you perform online, you get great feedback from your audience about what people have liked, Q&As, etc. You've got to know your audience virtually and now have good info about what works. How does this compare to your pre-COVID in the flesh feedback? Which is better? I mean, in terms of feedback, in terms of what people like and people not so keen on,
no, I think it's feedback from the audience, as in like the reaction. What's better, the feedback from a live gig or the feedback from a?
They're different, but I like them both. I mean, there's nothing quite like having a lovely big warm round of applause at the end of a night. That you can't beat that. That's
actually
pretty incredible.
But being able to read the comments either whilst the concert's going out or the next morning, I mean, that gives us such an amazing, warm, fuzzy feeling inside. I mean, they're just both amazing.
Yeah. So I
That's
think...
it. That was fast.
Yeah,
that
both.
Fast.
No,
okay,
move on.
Next. Okay. Can you share any funny moments from your walks with Claire Boulding or Matthew Bannister? Well, for those that maybe didn't catch that, we did an episode of BBC Radio 4's Ramblings with Claire Boulding, and we also did Folk on Foot with Matthew Bannister. Actually,
Claire Boulding had lost her keys on the walk.
Okay, so I mean that is quite. I mean, it wasn't funny for her because she had to be back in London for a fundraiser that night, and she needed to be back on the train. And it was her sound engineer who was meant to be giving her a lift. Had dropped his keys and couldn't get into his car.
And we had no idea.
We had no idea where they were on the walk.
5 or 6 mile
and it turns out that we kind of talked about it and we were like, he's like, I had them at this point, and in the end we were going through the long grass in the car park at the Square and Compass in Worth for Travellers, which we talk about a lot, and we found his keys. I've never seen a sound engineer so relieved. He came straight up to me and gave me a massive hug and was like, "Thank you," and then off they went. So that was it.
And Matthew Bannister, we were in St James's. We were trying to do one of the concerts. One of the songs we were singing Row On, beautiful quiet a cappella song, and they had the organ tuners in at the same time.
And the lovely reverend had to go and say, would you mind maybe not tuning the organ for a little bit? It was like, yeah, it wasn't going to be good.
Yes.
Okay, that wasn't fast, but are there any musicians you'd like to record or perform with, and why? I think I've said I'd go with a classical performer. Well, I said potentially a deceased classical performer, but I would still probably stray into the classical world. Other performers, oh wow, don't know.
Endless list, really, isn't there?
Someone like the Staves, maybe three part.
No, I'd
harmony
feel
singing
woefully
sisters.
Inadequate next to the Staves, to be honest. But
I'd be amazing to sing with them though. Yeah. 3 female harmonies above. Oh yeah, maybe. Okay, Staves or a deceased classical.
Yes. Your hints on growing winter veg would be very welcome. We had a great crop of courgettes, spinach, peppers, beans, and so on over the summer.
Okay, quick, Jay. We've got 4 minutes left.
I don't have any tips. Like I said before, I don't show you my garden because I think I'm a pro. I do it just so you can have a nose through. My winter veg, I'm very, very happy to say, it kind of grows despite my efforts rather than because of them. I don't have any particular tips. I chuck the seeds in the ground and I'm very happy when they grow. And my particular, you might have seen my parsnip parsnip that was as big as my head that came out. That was not because of any particular tips. I just left it in from last year. I let it grow over this summer for a second year, and parsnips grow very big. That's my tip. Leave them in for 2 years.
Just leave them. Don't do anything with them.
Don't pick them.
And they'll grow into an absolute monstrosity. Okay, hi J&J. You're becoming bookcase teasers, as you never quite let me get close enough to have a good rummage. Just a fleeting pass.
Just one little fleeting pass.
I think it's about time we had a proper Ninebarrow bookcase tour. Is there an interesting mix of shapes and sizes? Okay, so look. We can't. I did think about setting up a different camera for this one if this question came out, but I thought the risk was too great. Up the top here, it's just out of shot. We have things like we have our photo books. Each year, Jay puts a photo book together of our adventures, and those are there. And on the top we have garden books. We also have Roger's Profanosaurus, which we're not going to go into. The next one down. It's walking related, OS maps, walking related stuff. We've got a concertina there. Our sound guy, Richard, has been quite disparaging about our strange Santa.
Rightly so.
Thanks, Richard.
I don't
know about that. I don't know. He said, "Good God, boys!" He goes, "Is that your Christmas decorations?
Yeah, F+.
5 baubles and a randomly."
You can't see there's at least 6 baubles. Come on.
You can't see the ones that are out of shot, Richard.
Yeah.
Below here we've got like 1,000 baubles, and then over there's that fir tree, that 20-foot fir tree.
Yeah.
So anyway, walking stuff. Random Santa. Over here we get into the Dorset related stuff. So we've got this is poetry generally. So we've got William Barnes, but we've also got W.B. Yeats, Edgar Allan Poe, lots of other collections of poetry. This is our fantasy section. We got Robin Hobb, we've got George R.R. Martin, we've got a bit of Frank Herbert with June there. Over here it's history, but also we stray into the Norton Anthology of English Literature. Everybody. Yes. And then below...
More stuff.
It's mostly cooking on the bottom. You can't see this.
Cookery books. Somebody asked, did we tell them last time about that? People said, what's a good cookery book? And my favourite ones are
That's not the question for this one.
Cookery book, Bowl Food by Murphy Books? Murdoch Books. I don't think it's the Rupert Murdoch, actually. I think it is actually something else. But this is my first cookbook that got me into cooking. I love it. So that was
Murdoch. We'll photocopy it for you. Otherwise, you can go and get it. And then in the middle, it's Dorset. Behind the microphone, it's just a row of Dorset.
Yes.
One day we'll give you a tour, but it won't be today because unfortunately we'll probably go off air.
Is 1 minute to go?
1 minute to go.
Last question.
Hang on. Okay.
Last question?
Okay, last question.
What would make you give up music and go back to teaching in medicine?
Nothing.
Not a lot.
What would make you give up music and go back? Well, okay, let's deal with this in 2 stages. What would you go back to teaching? No, sorry.
No. But I'm still with medicine. In terms of going back to doing the full-time job, I do love the job. I love it a whole lot more now. It's not my entire life. And having this to sort of give me something to do is...
Whoops.
You told me not to do that.
Sorry. Everyone probably heard that through their TVs. Okay, one more. What's been your most successful bread recipe? Go on, John. Jay, end on that.
Keep it simple. And keep it simple, but leave it going for a very long time. Don't just leave it rising for an hour and then cook it. If you can do it at the start of the day and then leave your 350 grams of flour, your 10 grams of yeast, 10 to 13 grams of salt, and then try and make it a bit wetter. 500 grams flour, 350 grams of water, and then leave it for ages, and then cook with it.
Okay, we're going to do one more question because the next one I picked out is just so funny. I'm not kidding. That's what it says. What is the worst thing that Jay has cooked? Well, okay, I'm going to answer this, and then Jay is going to answer this. Okay. Now, I've mentioned our friends Ben and Tom, who we love and who come around to dinner quite a bit. There was one time where Jay did a dinner for those guys, and it was meant to include like a burger type of thing.
Pakora burger, so veggie, burgers. Like chickpea flour, like curried chickpea flour
sweet.
kind of. It was supposed to come in a patty, like a little burger.
We nearly ordered takeaway. It was and Ben and Tom were so polite, and it was like Well, you know, a burger should be in a patty, and it just arrived in like, well, it was just like all over the plate. It was just like a random.
I really wanted it to be impressive.
Of
it was not impressive. It was mush.
They were so polite. Oh, Jay, it tastes so lovely. It's so wonderful.
They're good friends.
They are good friends.
I think the one that sticks out to me was it was a curry. It was some kind of, again, vegetarian sort of thing. It was some sort of yogurt curd curry that, you know, in the recipe, how they told you to make it ended up looking like blocks of like cheese in the recipe book. It was just lumps of white stuff in a yellow sauce. And I'm a doctor. I've seen things.
Okay,
on that note.
Jeez Louise, we can't stop there. Flipping heck. Okay. Hang on. Let's find one to finish on that doesn't talk about
manky things.
Okay. Has all of the work involved in putting on your wonderful concerts left any time for writing new songs? And has this weird year been of any inspiration? Well, I suppose the thing is, has this year been any inspiration? Neither of us has written a single song since the beginning of the pandemic. And it's, I suppose, I wouldn't say that is a negative thing, really, because we tend to have a cycle. And when we are in the throes of producing an album, our creativity tends to be poured into those songs that have already been written. Yeah. And what we tend to find, and I think we are already finding it, is that when we finish an album and we put it to bed and it's produced and it's ready to go, which the next one is, albeit not until the 5th of March, we tend to have an absolute spike of creativity.
Yeah, our creativity, the number of songs that we write is sort of low for a very long time, and then within a couple of months it's suddenly
we could write an entire album. And it's not because we necessarily
plan it like that, it's just like sometimes that creativity begets creativity. It kind of gets us in the mood and we get in that frame of mind and that process. And
but it's a lovely question to end on, because I think the next live stream we're going to do in January is going to have a very, very different feel about it, because we're not going to play much from the new album, because that will be for the spring. And we have a list of songs that we've wanted to work out for a while. There's some covers that we're working on at the moment. There's some old songs that we've not played for a long time. And you never know, maybe we'll actually end up writing something new between now and January. Who knows? But I think, like, once one album is put to bed, that for us is when the creativity begins to bubble. Mm-hmm. And we start to delve into the bookcase. And I think that is exactly what will be happening between now and the new year, which is quite exciting.
So I think that conclude our Q&A.
I think that's we've not done bad. I mean, there's about 10 or 20 more questions, but we won't throw them away. We will keep them until the next Q&A, which will be at some point in 2021, no doubt.
But as we've said over the last few sort of Q&As throughout the gig as well, like, we have been so amazed at your support over this very, very strange year. No one's going to forget it, are they? But
no one's going to forget it. But to be honest, we will never be able to express in words just how much it means to us that you guys have supported us all the way through. And frankly, the fact that there's still 165 people still listening to us witter on about manky burgers that Jay has failed to deliver to friends of ours is absolutely bonkers. We wish you a very, very Merry Christmas, whether that means that you get to see people that you haven't seen for a while, or whether you're celebrating on your own, or whatever it is you're up to. We hope you have a fantastic time. And here's hoping to a slightly more predictable 2021. I think that is something we can absolutely all hope for. So whatever you're doing this Christmas, whatever you're doing this New Year, lots of love to you all. Have a fantastic one. And we will see you on the other side, everybody. Take care.
Lots of love.
See you soon.
Bye.
Bye.